Welcome to Exodus Youth Worx on CYC. I have with me this week Janet Habeshi, who is our Senior Case Manager. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Left our last program to the really important stuff, which is what we do day to day, which is your role at Exodus Youth Worx as a caseworker. So I suppose if you can outline, what do you do every day, Janet?
What do I do every day? I take lots and lots of notes.
Yep.
Keep lots of records.
Yes.
Meet interesting young people. Every story is different. Each individual that walks through that door is just, a
story in themselves.
Totally.
Yes.
Yep.
And we sometimes, when we get together at our casework meetings, we say, gosh, I think we've heard everything. And then the very next day, someone walks in the door with a completely different story.
Yep.
Yeah. So they have been varied, they have been traumatic, they have been sad, but we do see good outcomes, don't we? Otherwise we wouldn't do this.
There have been a lot of very inspirational people as well.
Yes.
And it puts life into perspective.
I was just talking with a servant from one of the churches the other day, and a couple of years ago, no names, but you will recall a young lady that had a very severe drug addiction, and the family just couldn't cope anymore, and they literally put her on our door at 8 o'clock in the morning and said, that's it for us, you take over. Now, she didn't go to rehab, she stayed with us, and every day was a bit of a challenge. However, the really nice outcome to that story is that she was married recently and she's now a mum.
Wow. I never
would have thought?
Yeah, never would have thought.
Yes.
Never would have saw that coming.
So the grace of God, and really we can only do so much. We can apply the systems and apply the procedures and the policies. But in the end, we do see God's work, don't we?
Every day. It's a blessing every day.
And when it looks hopeless and when it looks impossible, the possible does happen.
Well, I believe that now. I don't think that anything really is impossible. It's just a challenge.
And some days, I think you'll agree, we've climbed Mount Everest and dragged people up a mountain, and we sit at 10 p.m. together and we're exhausted, and but it's been worth it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so casework, a young person walks in the door, we assess the problems or the issues, or we set a plan. So what sort of things would you include in the areas of progress that you would, what do we do? How do we do the work we do?
Okay, well, a few factors that we have to take into consideration. Their well-being, social well-being, mental health, first address the immediate needs of the client or the young person that comes through the door. Do they have somewhere to live? Do they, those kind of immediate things. Yeah. And then usually we probably only get about maybe 5% of the story. And then
on that first interview.
Yeah. And then, sometimes it might take months to unpack the whole package. Yes. And it's putting pieces of a puzzle together. Yeah. And, finding the missing pieces and, Now, people watching this program probably will find it difficult to believe that Coptic Orthodox youth can become homeless. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Oh, we don't have homeless youth.
It surprises me how many people are surprised by that.
Yes. It's our day-to-day story, but I'm just thinking the last person had been living in his car for 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks in a car. In Sydney, Australia, Coptic Orthodox young person. And he found himself living in the car because of an addiction, because of unemployment, and because he had no support, because he had been a young person on a student visa coming from Egypt and fleeing an issue there, but fell through the cracks of our community and found himself without support.
no family, nowhere to go.
No.
Until he found us, and now we're his family.
And we were talking about it on the last program, that network and partnership and the body of Christ all working together for the sake of one life. It was one of the fathers, one of the abunas of the church, who came across this young man and referred him on to us. How does that referral process look like?
Well, the referral, if it comes from a father, abuna,
a priest, yep.
We like to have the first meeting with the priest, the confession father, or whoever it is that's bringing the young person to us. And then, you know, I'm just trying to think of what we did that first time with that one young man.
It really did take it was the referral of the priest that put things in perspective, even for the young person. Like, he didn't know about Exodus, but he did go back to what he knew, which was the church. So the presence of the church being there, the priest being a welcoming embrace to that young person, but realizing it's more than, you need somewhere to work, you need somewhere to stay, and you have a big issue, which was the addiction. And then the priest ringing us and saying, here it is, what can we do? So we housed the young person?
Yes. We found it's a brilliant psychologist that he went and saw.
Yeah, so we spoke about the need for professionals in this work.
As well as, you know, obviously medical issues, physical. You know, he had to go on medication. And it's a day-to-day thing. Like, it's one of those things where you live it with him. Yeah. You're there every day. You're seeing him every morning. You're saying goodnight to him every night. And it's, you know, it's that you live with him. And I mean, I treat him the way I would treat my brother or my son or anybody like that in my family.
We thought, of course, we're going to go now to just some quick hellos from people within Exodus. So you won't know whether they're staff or members or clients, but this is a message from Exodus Youth Worx to our community out there, just to say, hi, we're here. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it's uplifting.
Hi, my name is Janet. I am the Senior Case Manager at Exodus Youth Worx. A typical engagement with an AOD client would be first the initial interview. So a person will make an appointment to come in and have an interview. We'll do an assessment. We talk about things like, obviously, what type of addiction we're dealing with, and we will go from there. We'll assess what kind of services that person needs, whether it's rehab or just counselling, just depending on what exactly it is that we're doing. Okay, so the difference between an AOD client and a client that doesn't have an issue with drugs or alcohol would be we offer services from employment to just our drop-in centre to you know, how to write a resume, things like that. An AOD client will differ a lot. So the approach that we take with our AOD clients, first and foremost, is non-judgmental. Anybody that comes here and discloses that they have an alcohol or a drug-related problem, it's treated with a high level of sensitivity and, like I said, non-judgment. We've had people come through here that have an addiction to, you know, whether it's ice or marijuana even. So basically, it's the initial assessment will tell us which programs we are going to place that person in.
My name is Pablo Lolio. I'm one of the case managers at Exodus Youth Worx. I think the education, the formal education is really important to create like a professional framework to be able to work with different kind of clients. You know, because everyone is different, all the clients and the problems are going to be different. So when you have a formal background that can give you a structure or a way to deal with these issues, I think is really makes your whole life easier, you know, and you can get the different approaches and use them together if you have to do so. Is something that we have seen a growing number of ICE users on the last couple of years. So the number of ICE users has been growing dramatically, and we still have the young people, they use marijuana or even alcohol, because a lot of people forget that alcohol is also a drug. If you don't know how to drink, you know, if you're not only drinking socially, it can be a big issue, because alcohol and the other drugs are going to be involved in the cases of domestic violence and even sexual abuse and other issues like that. It's going to affect how the person behaves. So drink driving, in all the other issues that go around and together and sometimes running parallel to these kind of addictions.
Hi, my name is Maria Cochet and I'm the Assistant Manager at Exodus Youth Worx. I don't think any sort of study is actually going to prepare you for working with AOD clients. It can definitely inform your practice. It can give you some really critical knowledge to be able to deal and kind of understand the theory behind certain drugs and addictions and why the mind works the way it does, why people just, you know, fall into addiction and why addiction is so hard to get out of. But I don't think it can actually prepare you for working with an individual. That definitely has to come through your experience. And as you can see, I mean, Exodus has been working with clients in this area for over 15 years now. And it's, you know, and another thing is you can't look at a piece of paper and then apply everything you've learnt to every single client, because every single client's going to be very, very different to the next. So I don't think it's enough to just say I've studied this. I definitely think for clients to be within a community and with other people who are from the same background definitely helps them. One of the biggest reasons a lot of people fall into addiction is a sense of exclusion. So to know that there is a community there with people from the same background, from the same mindset, it can definitely help a person to get out of their current situation.
We're now seeing approximately anything from about 2,500 to 3,000 youth walking in the door. Not all of them will be caseworked by a caseworker, but when they come to you, what sort of, so you'll have to speak to them every day.
Yes.
The follow-up is a regular thing.
Yep.
Did you think, I mean, you didn't start in youth work.
I did not.
Where did you
come? I started with preschool kids.
Yes.
For about 15 years I did that. So I've seen that side of it right up until adolescence. And then from adolescence to where we are now with the adults that we deal with now, you can I've gone from preschool to probably about 40 years old.
40.
Yeah.
So you did a complete career change into youth work at, you did a diploma of TAFE?
In youth work, yeah.
In youth work.
Yeah.
So anyone that's watching this program, you know, if you wanted to say, hey, this is what I do and this is what I get out of it, here's your chance.
Oh, I get out of it. I most days go home and just, you know, I'm exhausted, but it's a really good sort of, you know, I've done something. I've touched someone's life They've touched my life. I think I
Yeah.
get more out of it than they do. It's two-sided. I will never look back. I'll never regret going back to TAFE.
No, nor will I, because you're an integral part of Exodus every day.
And you remember how I started this job?
Yes,
I said,
you just rang me. Yeah.
I'm going to go to TAFE and I'm going to come back here and I'd like a job, please.
And now you're senior case manager, but we also have another case manager.
Yes.
And we have Marina, the social worker, as well. And then we have a psychologist, Iman El-Zahabi.
Yep.
And the team is building.
It's the dream team.
Yeah, the dream team. I've got pamphlets here with us on the table, just simply because they're part of our work, a big part of our work, to reference drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction. Last night at Exodus, we ran our first seminar on addiction, and that was hosted by our psychologist, in-house psychologist, Iman El-Zahabi. And you were present, I was present, we had young people, we had doctors, we had servants from the Coptic Church with us, and we're going to be ongoing with those seminars simply because we need to educate parents, servants, professionals, and just the average Coptic Orthodox person, because everyone's in a bit of a denial.
No, we don't talk about things like this.
It's taboo, isn't it?
There's no such thing as mental health issues, or, you know, until it's actually happening to somebody in your family. Usually, you know, as a community, we do actually take it a little bit longer to accept that there might be something wrong. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to admit. You know, depression or anxiety is a disease the same as, you know, cancer or diabetes.
Yes.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And over our time working together, we're seeing a connection, aren't we, with young people with ADD or ADHD and the link to drug use.
Yep, they self-medicate.
What do you mean by self-medicate?
Okay, so usually ADD or ADHD, it is a physical condition. It's
Stands
a disorder.
for ADHD, better clarify.
Okay, so it's
Just
attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And the way that their brain operates is on a level that needs stimulation, needs focus, but they can't focus on their own.
So attention span is shortened?
Yes.
And hyperactive?
That's right.
Okay.
So
why would that lead them to drug use?
Well,
Abuse,
it
drug
works,
abuse.
It works differently on different, like their brains operate in a way where, so they'll smoke cannabis. Normally, if someone doesn't have ADD or ADHD, it'll probably put them to sleep. But somebody that has got that disorder, they actually, it helps them focus, which is, it sounds a bit strange, but
that's what's happening.
Yep.
And I know that we have casework meetings, and at the end it's like, we need to have this young person assessed for perhaps ADD to understand the drug abuse that's going on.
Yep.
What sort of professionals do we need to make that assessment and to set a path of healing?
Oh, well,
Where would you start?
Okay, at a GP. That's the first point of call. Referrals, mental health plans. The public system isn't as great as, you know, if you've got private health cover.
Better
that's
for you.
fantastic. Yep. But it is quite an expensive adventure to go on with.
It can be.
Yeah.
And then for us as being part of a migrant, a multicultural community group, then we have to deal with language barriers.
Yes.
So the last client we had through, his English wasn't good enough to attend a rehab or a detox centre, so that Exodus had an added responsibility to provide that in-house.
And it's not going to be the first psychologist or the second psychologist
No.
or maybe even the third or even the fourth time in rehab. Sometimes it's going to take a few goes, but we've got to try everything.
Yeah, they're our, as you said, they're our brothers and our sons and our husbands and our cousins. We need to act on this.
Yeah.
That has been really insightful. Thank you, Janet, for joining us
Thank you for having
on the
me.
program. If our viewers are needing any more information, you can go to Exodus Youth Worx. We have a website, and you can send us an email. Everything is highly confidential.
Yep.
We operate under very strict confidentiality policies. Give us a call. Thank you for watching. We hope that you have enjoyed a glimpse into what we do at Exodus Youth Worx.